You have to perform. This is what being a man is about. The baseline of masculinity is doing things you don't feel like doing. The thing that makes a good man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to go to war and he fights anyway. He doesn't want to get up, he gets up anyway. That's the whole point of it. We didn't want to die in the Titanic. Guess what happened? We died in the Titanic.
People often ask me, especially when I put up a picture on Instagram, how I'm in such good shape. Say, how are you in such good shape when all you do is travel the world and drink alcohol and smoke cigars?
No idea.
You barely go to the gym. And I say that I train in my sleep, and they call me crazy. Because I can lucidly dream, because I can control my dreams, which is another podcast in and of itself. I train in my dreams. I convince my mind that I've trained. I convince my mind that I need to be ready for war, and my body reacts accordingly. It is the ideas that are real. What do they say in the Matrix? The body cannot exist without the mind. It's the ideas that are real. An idea in and of itself is real enough. If you remember a dream the same way you remember a real event, they are basically the same. My body proves that because I do most of my training as I sleep.
So lucid dreaming is basically, I don't know if anyone's here's had a dream that you realize is a dream and then you can control it. Have you ever had that?
Yeah.
So you're in a dream and then you go, for me personally, I'll be in a dream and something will happen and I go, that doesn't make sense. Oh wait, I'm dreaming. And then I can fly and shit. Now, usually I can only do it for like a minute or two in dream time. You know, time is a bit different in dreams until the dream ends. And I usually wake up where the dream ends. So it's kind of annoying because sometimes I'll be in a dream and I'll realize it's a dream and I'll start doing some shit. And then I'll also consciously know that I'm running out of time before the dream ends. It's weird. So that's how I dream. So the way I do that, and when I say that I use my dreams to calculate things, is because if you're ever heartbroken or upset or you're really worried or stressed, you might dream about the problem. So I do that consciously. If I have a problem in my life or something I have to worry about or be concerned about, I'll try and make sure I dream about it. And then in the dream, I know I'm in a dream. And it's basically dedicating time of my life, dedicating the time I was sleeping to solving a problem or dealing with a problem. How many amazing songs have been written in a dream? Or how many scientific discoveries were from dreams? Look it up. Look up discoveries from dreams. The number of scientists who woke up and go, bang, it came to me in my sleep, it came to me in my dream, because you're obsessed with a problem and your mind works it out at rest. So the key to lucid dreaming is this. You have to try and remember your last thought before you fall asleep. Now, I know that sounds easy, but think about last night when you went to sleep. Your eyes were closed. You were thinking of this, then you were thinking of this, then you were thinking of this, and then you were half awake because you kind of heard a noise and you felt the covers on you, but you weren't asleep, but you weren't awake. But what were you thinking of? Kind of nothing. You have to remember the exact last thought you had before you went to sleep. And it's harder to do than you think, because when you start doing that, you start turning your brain on to focus, and then you can't sleep. So you have to do it like Zen. You have to just Zen go, I'm going to sleep, but I'm going to keep track. Right now I'm thinking of this dumb shit. Okay, now I'm thinking of that dumb shit. And sequentially in order, remember all the things you're thinking about until you remember the last thing you thought about before you went to sleep. When I started learning how to do that, there on out, about 70% of the times I would dream, it would be lucid. And I genuinely, even to this day, I'll be in a dream doing whatever. And I'll lift up a cat and go, that has no weight. This is a dream. Okay, this is a dream. So I'll just float through this wall quickly. Where's Tristan? Or me go on the computer. And I'll just control it for like 2 minutes. It's weird. But it happens by remembering what you're thinking about before you fall asleep. And if you actually genuinely think about that task and think about, now when you go to sleep, you'll be trying to do it and you realize, I'm thinking a bunch of bullshit, or I'm thinking of a memory, or I'm half remembering something, that your mind kind of falls apart a little bit as you fall asleep. If you can keep track of it, you can control your dreams. And for me, if I ever have a genuine real issue, I can literally say, I'll deal with it. I'll think about that later when I'm sleeping. I know it sounds stupid, but it's true. I would accredit it to my success when I was kickboxing. I believe that if my brain synapse is firing, it must have, for X action, it must have a positive reflection on that action. If my X synapse, if the synapse in my brain is firing to slip a jab in a particular way, and my brain is firing, even if my body isn't moving, but my brain is firing to slip that jab, I believe that on a long enough time scale of my brain imagining me doing something repeatedly over and over and over again, I'm going to be better at doing that action, even if my body doesn't reflect. So when I say I train in my dreams, that's exactly what I mean. I would train, I imagine slipping punches in my dreams and how I would do it. And although my body wasn't doing the thing because I was asleep, but my synapses were firing the same. And I believe that had a positive impact and a positive effect. That can't be proved, but I believe it. And if I believe it, that also gives it power.
There's so much work for you to do as a man. I don't know how people I barely sleep, and I never not work, and I never lay in. I'm never lazy. And I don't understand how people don't work all of the time. And when I say that, people say, but work on what? I don't know what to work on. Bro, You need 10 passports, you need 25 bank accounts, you need shell companies, you need a trust fund, you need to make some money, you then need to move that money away, you need multiple places to live, you need a place for your children to live, they need a trust fund, you have stuff to do.
Yep.
And people are just sitting around doing nothing. It's mind-boggling to me. And there are some people who you just can't help. There is a huge percentage of the populace which they're beyond saving because they're the worst thing you can possibly be, which is a quitter. Being a quitter is the worst thing you could possibly be. God himself can't make a quitter important, because the only reason the place you're trying to get to has value is because it was difficult to reach. If everybody could reach it, there'd be no value. Value is linked to scarcity. The whole point gold is valuable is because it's not everywhere. If it was everywhere, it wouldn't have any value. The reason the place you're trying to reach is valuable is because people can't get there. So if you're the kind of person who quits, you're never going to get there. Quitters are the worst. You could give a quitter a map, a treasure map, and a hot air balloon, and say it's going to take you right to the treasure. It's going to be a 7-day journey. Here's a sandwich, and halfway through they'll be like, "Oh, I'm cold."
Yeah, you just said that. 7 days, nah.
Yeah, and they'll quit.
Yeah,
quitters will never make it, and there's a huge subsect of the populace who are basically simply quitters. I've never in my life seen anyone who's determined to get something not get it. I've never seen somebody who is determined in their heart to get something, not get it. The universe and God is so giving and providing. People think it's difficult out here. I disagree. I've never seen someone wake up and say, nah, this is all I care about. This is all I want. Not get it. Everyone who thought that way in fighting was a world champion. Everyone who thought that way about money was rich. I've never seen anyone fail. Bro, I've seen people with no credit score and no job determined to get an R8 manage to get one on finance somehow. I've seen it. If it's all you want, you're going to get it.
You're going to find a way to
You're
get
going to
it.
find a way.
Yeah.
People go, oh, I want this. If you wanted it, you'd have it.
Literally, I spoke to a man who had done a podcast recently, and he was saying if someone had a gun to your children's head and said to you, the only way I'm going to move this gun is by you making $1 million, you are going to make $1 million.
100%.
Yeah.
You're going to be motivated for the first time in your life. People often say, if you try your best, it's okay to fail. But what they don't understand, the true secret to the universe is that if you try your best, you never fail.
Yeah.
I can't stop myself working as a person who doesn't need money. And then there's people with no money who don't work. It blows my mind, which is why the winners are winners and the losers are losers. Losers do a little bit of work and rest. Winners work as hard as possible and worry they're not working hard enough. It's just a separation of personality types. And it's almost like you can't save these people. I have something I sent in my email recently. I said, you could give the average man a brand new Ferrari and a road map and a coffee and a full tank of gas and tell him the destination, success. And halfway along the drive, he'll quit because it's too far. No matter how well you set it up for people, they'll quit. Then they say, this is what's another thing that's amazing to me about motivation. I don't feel motivated. Newsflash, neither do I sometimes. You're not gonna always feel like doing it. You have to do it anyway because it's your duty to do it because you don't want to be a loser. That's the whole point. If you felt like doing it all the time, then there would be no magic to it. The magic is that you do it regardless of how you feel.
How do you stay motivated when you're like, I'm a man?
A day of work in 10 years. I've never had a day off. Maybe I've had days where I've gone driving in the supercars and I've only done 2 hours work instead of 8 hours. I've never had a day where I thought, okay, I'm not going to work. Never once ever. My screen time on my phone is 9 hours a day, every day. I do not miss a day of work ever. If I'm the most viral Googled man on the earth, it does not change a thing. I am working. Earth must be conquered. The Matrix must be attacked and shattered. I do not stop. I will not quit. I will not surrender. I am not that person. I have zero interest in rest or respite. It's bullshit for cowards. Even the idea of resting aggravates my mind. So what I'm supposed to do this? Wait, let me practice.
Sure.
Yeah, that sucks.
No, but is there...
That sucks.
Bro, I got shit to do. Like, give me, I can't even contemplate the idea. People say to me, if I had your money, Tate, I'd just go chill. That's why you'll never have my money, dummy.
Well, here's
you
my
just want to
question
go do
for that,
nothing.
though.
I don't want to do nothing. I want to
have-
do shit.
A lot of teens or young people or even adults, they're suffering from a lot of mental health issues.
Okay.
And what's your advice to them?
The world is hyper competitive. If you're going to be a man who's going to sit and say, I'm just sad, you are always going to lose in competition to men like me. And there has to be losers for there to be winners. I am tired of sympathy. Sympathy doesn't work for anybody. I'm not going to sit here and be sympathetic for people who say they're too sad to try hard and be their best. Guess what? Perhaps I was sad every time I did exactly what I was supposed to do and trained anyway. Perhaps I was afraid when I fought anyway. Perhaps I was tired when I worked anyway. This is how you get ahead in life. I don't have an ounce of sympathy for these people who sit here and say, well, I feel this way, so I can't. Then don't do it. Stay down there. The winners are at the top, and the winners at the top don't give a shit about how they feel. We wake up and we perform regardless of how we feel day after day. So if I'm going to ignore my own feelings, I'm certainly not going to take into consideration anybody else's. Yeah. Why am I going to ignore how I feel and make sure I'm constantly performing regardless, flawlessly, and then sit and go, oh, but he doesn't feel good, so he's allowed to fuck up. No, you are not. You're not allowed to fuck up to your ancestors or to God or to yourself. You have to perform. This is what being a man is about. The baseline of masculinity is doing things you don't feel like doing. I can't comment on being a woman because I'm not one. But the baseline of masculinity as a whole is the thing that makes a good man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to go to war and he fights anyway. He doesn't want to get up, he gets up anyway. That's the whole point of it. We didn't want to die in the Titanic. Guess what happened? We died in the Titanic. You can't sit there as a man and say you don't feel like it. You're not allowed to not feel like it. You're supposed to do it anyway, regardless. Yeah. So when a man sits there and says, oh, but you don't understand, I'm struggling with motivation. If you are struggling with the motivation to be a winner, then stay a f***ing loser. No problem. Stay a loser. Don't care. Because in my circle, there's no losers around me. Your energy is disgusting. I find it revolting. I don't like weakness around me, even near me. Even people coming up saying hello to me. If you're depressed, don't even shake my hand. I do not have time for losers on any regard. Winners only.
What started that fire inside early on, or did it kind of just develop through time and get hotter and hotter?
Well, I think everybody has a fire inside of them, but it's pacified. It's deliberately extinguished by society because one, the Matrix wants you docile, which is the first thing. And second thing is people live lives of comfort. A lot of people, I think all men are born with a masculine desire to conquer Earth. And I think you're only going to be happy if you're conquering. But if you're living a semi-comfortable life and your mother is nice to you and you're not under any pressure and the Matrix is telling you it's fine to just be average, well, then you're going to be sitting there being average. I was never comforted. I was never given an easy life. I never had anyone in my life who was saying, don't worry, Andrew, it's okay to just be this guy. I was told the opposite all the time. I don't know if the fire inside of me is any bigger than it is inside of every other man. And I think that every man at home watching this, if they don't have the things they want in life, should feel a degree of resentment towards themselves or disappointment, understanding that they have the same desire and drive that I have. They just allowed themselves to be psyoped out of it. They've allowed the Matrix or whoever to convince them it's okay to not be the man they could be. And I never allowed anybody to do that to me. When I was 15, my first job was carrying boxes of fish from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. And I would run to work. So I'd leave the house at 6, I'd run an hour, I'd get there at 7, I'd finish work at 5, and then I'd run from there to the fight gym. Get to the fight gym, I'd get there early before training started. I'd eat food next to the gym, and then I'd train, and then I would get a ride home from my girlfriend at the time. So my entire life was 17 hours a day of just running and working and carrying boxes and fighting. The answer to everything has always been raw action. My dad had a tweet about this. He said that raw action solves all. And he used to say this. I'll give you an example. If you're a farmer and you need rain for your crop and there's no rain, you can sit there and say there's no rain, we're all going to starve. Or you can stand up and do a rain dance. Now, will your rain dance work? Perhaps not. Perhaps the rain won't come. But I would argue that you're better off standing up doing that rain dance than just sitting there waiting to die. You have to do something. Raw action solves. So when I was broke, I was never like, I'm poor, what do I do? It was, I'm poor, I have to do something. If I was broke, I'd go for a run. That's why I was such a great fighter. If I was broke, I'd sit there and go, I'm actually poor. How do I make money? Dunno. Where can I get some cash? Dunno. What work can I do? Dunno. I'll just go for a run then. And I'd just go for a 3-mile run and or go hit the punch bag and get better.
This resonates so deeply, man. This is exactly what I did.
That's exactly. You just have to say, well, I have to do something. I can't just sit still and die. A lot of people are happy to just sit still and die or jerk off and go to sleep and take a nap. Well, if that's what you want to do, then you can say a loser. That's fine. I'm glad there are losers, because if everyone had Lamborghinis, my Lamborghini wouldn't be fun to show off. I need you to look at it and feel the deep pain in your heart of regret and failure. That's the whole point of it. I feel like we live in a world where there is not enough action. There's a lot of people who know things, all talk, but they're all talk. There's not enough action. They don't do anything. So we need to get some action moving. So we're going to begin this with some action. And I want you guys to understand something about every single decision you make in life. Every single decision you make in life is a pivoting point upon which you can embark on two different journeys. E.g., you decide if you want to jerk off or not.
Okay, this is an important one. This is a pivotal moment that many of you face daily, multiple times daily for some of you.
Get off, J.O. You can go yes or you can go no. But these two paths lead in completely different directions. You'll lead a completely different and new life depending on the decision you make. There's yes path and there's no path, and they're brand new lives. So the action we're going to try and inspire from you right now, here early on, is going to embark you down one of two paths. You're either going to take action and live the yes life, or you're going to sit around and do nothing like you've done for most of your human existence and live the no life.
And me as a man, when I put myself through hell, when I have had such exacting, such stringent standards for myself, why would I then have less exacting, stringent standards on the people I meet? Why would I put myself through hell to be me and then meet someone who didn't put themselves through hell and then treat them like my equal? No, f*** you. I suffered when you didn't. So you're not my equal because you decided not to suffer. You have enjoyed comfort when I haven't, and that's fine, but don't expect me to look at you as my equal because you're not. I'll snap your neck.
I think that as humans, especially as men, we only learn the hard way anyway. There's two ways to learn a lesson, the hard way and the hardest way. There's no easy way to learn a lesson. You have to learn the hard way. So God gives us lessons via difficulty. He thinks you need to learn this about yourself or this about other people. So I'm going to give you a difficult time so you can learn your lesson. Because if I told you, if I just said, hey, Andrew, this is how the world works, you go, yeah. But when I show you, when you feel it, my fight coach used to say, you have to feel it to believe it. There's a lot of people who complain about the bad things that happen in their life, not understanding that without the bad things, you'd have no life at all. You need all of the bad things. You need the mental struggle. You need to go through things which you regret. You need to sit there so that if you've never regretted any action you've ever taken, how can you sit and make a intelligent decision for the future? You can't do it. You need to sit and say, well, I felt the sting of regret for X. I don't want to feel the sting of regret for Y. You need this experience, and that's what life is all about. People think that life is just the good times, and this is the massive misconception. But they say you should have no interest in what people think about you. That makes you insecure, and that is the largest psyop in history. To wake up and say, I'm not going to be successful, I'm not going to be strong, I'm not going to be interesting, I'm not going to go out there and test myself, and I'm not going to put honor on my last name, because I would hate for people to think I'm insecure. I'm secure, so it doesn't matter if you think I'm a loser, and it doesn't matter if I am a loser, so I'm just going to sit at home and I'm secure. No, it's not insecurity. It's called duty to your last name and honor, and that's just another one of the many different tentacles inside of the psyop octopus, trying to snatch any motivation left from the masculine spirit.
So Andrew, you're a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
You also have crypto.
Yep.
You also invest in different investments.
Yeah.
So for someone that's a young person coming up,
Yeah.
what is the best piece of advice you can give to them to make it to be successful?
Right. So if someone were to say to me from absolute ground zero, how to get rich? All right. That's a good question. So I would say do two things. The first thing I would say you should do is develop a phone addiction. And you should develop a phone addiction, but you should refuse to consume content and only create content.
Genius.
So it doesn't, I will say right here, right now, I have a genuine phone addiction.
Me too.
9-10 hours a day screen time.
Me too.
I live on my phone. I'm on my phone. That's where the money is. That's where the is.
Facts.
So where else am I going to be? Right? I'm on my phone. You see me. I'm always just on my phone, right? I have a phone addiction. But I'm not consuming a bunch of crap, right? I'm producing on my Twitter account. I'm constantly tweeting. Doesn't matter if it's just tweets. Doesn't matter if it's TikToks. Doesn't matter if it's YouTube videos. Produce.
Yep.
If you spend all those waking hours producing, eventually people will pay attention to you.
Yes.
And we live in an attention economy.
Yep.
This is the economy we now live in. It's no longer about competence like it used to be. It's not even so much, it's about attention and it's about network. It's those two things. It's who you know and it's how many people pay attention to you. So if you develop a phone addiction and you refuse to consume and you only create, you'll start to attract attention sooner or later. And when you can do that, there's usually lots of different ways to monetize it.
If we were still in the animal kingdom, the lions that you see on TV, they weren't just born big lions. They had to fight other lions. They had to fight to get that antelope. They had to fight other animals, hyenas, jackals. They had to fight to be the boss. We're living in a comfortable world now where people think, it doesn't matter. But you know what? To some degree, it does matter. It does matter, and I'll tell you who it matters to. It matters to your soul, and it matters to God. I stand in the mirror with a pure heart, I know I am the best version of me that could possibly ever exist. I know that God is proud of me. There's nothing that God hates more than sloth and laziness. If God were to create a man and that man were to sit around and do all, God will frown upon you. It's why you're never lucky. If you're listening to this and you think I'm never lucky, I'll tell you why, because God dislikes you because you're lazy. Start to work. Start to show God the beauty of his own creations. You'd be amazed how lucky you'll become.
When people look at you, why do they see you as a high value man? Do you have anything you project? Do you project true bravery? Do you project true confidence? Or do you need to talk to try and convince people of these things? They say confidence is quiet. It can also be very loud, but you don't want to live in a delusion. That's the first thing. So I want every single person here who's actually taking notes to think, if I can't talk, how am I judged? If I can't speak, what do people think of me? How am I projecting my value to the world if I can't say a word? You're talking about how do you make content that makes you stand out? Well, if you stand out as a man, then your content will stand out because you'll have exactly the right things to say and you'll be trusted and believed because people will see in your eyes and know that you're more than just a loud mouth. Because manhood is exceptionally hard and life is hard. But how you shape yourself will determine how hard it is for you and how miserable it will be. As a man, there is no easy life. If you're looking for an easy life, you should have been a girl. You made a mistake.
Yep.
Your life is not about being easy. Your life is not about being happy. Your life is always going to be difficult. All of the pain you feel, all of the sadness you feel, you're supposed to feel as a man, and you have two effective binary choices. You either go through the suffering and go through the trauma and go through the hardship it takes to be a man of value, or you suffer eternity as a nobody. And being invisible, I would argue, is almost worse. You can have a very stress-free life if you work in Starbucks. You don't care about the Starbucks once you clock off. You're not at work at the time. You go home, you play video games, and you exist until you die. That's stress-free, but you have to suffer being a nobody. Alternatively, you can go out there into the world, try and implement your mark on the world, work hard, try to get rich, more money, more problems. You can try and start a business, the stress of that. You can lose your girlfriend because all you're doing is working. This is a new level of stress, a new level of trauma, but at least you'll be a somebody at the end of it. There's two ways to suffer. You either suffer to become a somebody, or you suffer as a perpetual and forever nobody. There is a burden of expectation on you as a man. You're expected to do the impossible all of the time. You're expected to perform regardless of how you feel. And if you don't meet those expectations, you will be forever punished by life, by your girl, by your friends, by existence. There's no other option but to be a G about it. You have to just be a G. People say, how did you and Tristan handle jail? What am I going to do? Not handle it? What does that even mean? Want to bang my head against the wall? You have to just get it done.
Do anything.
You have to just get it done. If you're a full-grown man and you wake up, you should feel fire in your blood to conquer the world. If you wake up and you don't feel fire in your blood, it has been suppressed on purpose. Somebody has come along and said something or done something to you that has destroyed your innate, natural, God-giving, masculine quality to want to go out there in the world and do amazing things. But you wake up and you just want to sit around your house. Why? They've done that to you on purpose. It's on purpose. It's all purposeful. And you've fallen for it. You've been programmed by the Matrix. You have to resist. You have to find out exactly how they're getting this crap in your mind and resist it. You need to have a strong network of men who don't allow you to make these mistakes.
What's the point in being alive as a man if you don't live for anything bigger than yourself anyway? Am I going to live for myself and just hedonistically eat ice cream like a girl?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm rich now, so I'm just going to eat ice cream all day. No, I'm going to tell the truth, and if I have to suffer for it, then that's the consequences. It's fine. War is certain for all of us. We're all fighting different battles. You can either suffer the intense pain it requires to become a somebody, or suffer the intense pain of being a forever nobody. You're a man. You have responsibilities. I think we're here to do important things, and important things are going to be difficult, and they're going to be hard, and you're going to get frustrated. But that's what gives you purpose. Yeah. I don't see anyone who's chasing happiness. I think that's a very feminine frame. I understand why some women just want to be happy. Okay. But you're a man, right? And if you're a man, then it's absolutely an utterly different experience of life. I think we're here to struggle. I think we're here to endure pain. I think we're here to just see how hard we are to kill. I think that going through terrible things and living through them and coming out the other side is one of the most fantastic things about being human. I think that it's almost like once you understand what life is really about, there's no emotion which isn't enjoyable. The only emotional state which can be seen as detrimental is feeling nothing at all. I think we're here to struggle. I think we're here to go through pain. That's so I wake up each day and go, what can I attack? What problem can I solve? And look at history. Why did Genghis Khan wake up and want to conquer the whole world? Why did Napoleon conquer the world? Why did Alexander the Great conquer the world? Just wake up and just say, give me this, give me that. I want all of it. I need to, there's an army there, they're really big. We're better. It's intrinsic. You need to go and conquer, because if you don't struggle, you don't learn. God created us to learn and understand ourselves and understand other people and understand the world. And what did I say earlier? I said that you don't learn a lesson or you don't appreciate something without pain. So you have to struggle to learn anything. There's only two ways to learn things, the hard way or the harder way. If you're smart, you can learn the hard way. But in my experience, 99% of the planet only learn the hardest possible way. If the lesson's even 85% effective, they'll make the same mistake. It's only when they completely decimate and destroy an element of their life do they sit there and go, oh, now I get it.
No.
That's how it goes. There's a lot of men out there, especially in the world today, who only want to do things because they feel a certain way, not understanding that that doesn't make them competitive. The biggest question I get asked all the time is, hey, I lack motivation. And it's an annoying question to me because so do I sometimes. I don't always feel motivated to go to the gym. I don't always feel motivated to work. I don't always feel motivated to do what I need to do, but I do it anyway. It's called discipline. And if you're going to wake up every day and lack the motivation to do what should be done and compete against people who will do it irregardless of how they feel, you're going to perpetually and forever lose. When you're asking someone for motivation, what you're effectively doing is saying, make me want to do it. I don't want to do it. Make me want to. No, you have to do it. Or you can stay a loser. The best thing you can do as a man is try to make your mark on the world and make people understand how and why you think and try and be a positive influence and have children. Everyone has a dream, but not many people have a plan. A dream and a plan are different things. When you say to guys, do you want to be rich? Yeah, I want to be rich. How will you get rich? So you can have a dream with no plan. When's the last time something fantastic has ever happened on accident? When's the last time you've seen a big jacked dude and you say, hey man, how'd you get so jacked? And he goes, dunno, oops. It just happened. No, he planned it. He went to the gym, he ate a certain way, he planned his meals, he had to make it happen. It's exactly the same with getting rich. You need a plan to get rich, right? Everyone out there has a dream, but very few people have a plan. Yep. If you're surrounded by people who have a plan to get rich, and you provide value to them in some way, because they're not going to drag you up if you ain't doing nothing, because that's what friendship is. Friendship is value exchange. Yeah. If you provide value to them, sooner or later you're going to begin to make money. The problem with most people in the world today is not that they do a normal thing, it's that they do a normal thing and they don't try to be the best at it. Name a normie job.
Making coffee.
Making coffee, boom, you're a barista. So the first thing you need to do is get very good at making coffees. That's the first thing you need to do. Be able to do it in a fancy way. Then you need to solicit attention. Well, if you can make coffees in a fancy way, you can hire a videographer, you can then begin to make fancy coffees in a fancy way, and you can make it look good with a finalized product, and you can get a nice video made that's well cut with some fancy music. You begin to put them on Instagram and solicit people to watch your Instagram. Now you have attention. How do you then turn that attention into money after you began to show your fancy coffees? Well, you could, let's say, put together a course or an academy or write a book on the magic of coffee or the secrets of coffee. And you would put a mystery on it. Don't say, I'll teach you how to make coffee. No, say the secrets of coffee. You'd have a link in your Instagram page and it would be $9 and it would tell people the secrets how to make coffee. You'd start to sell that for $9. You'd make a couple hundred or a couple thousand, not too much, but you continue to make fancy coffees. People continue to go to your Instagram page. You're now selling the secrets of how to make coffee. Then, after people start knowing you as being a barista, you start to make these $9. You have $20,000, $30,000 in the bank. What you can do is launch your own coffee brand. You can go to Alibaba.com, you can find some coffee beans, you can put your face on it because your face is now a recognized brand. You can get your own coffee beans, you can begin to sell them on Instagram. Before you know it, you're making $10,000 or $15,000 a month. You can start to do tours. You can start to put posters on your Instagram or in your Instagram stories saying, I'm going to do master classes on how to make coffee, 20 people only, $1,000 each at this premium barista specialty coffee shop in London. The coffee shop will allow you to do it for free because they want people to know, get the advertising from you and your brand. You'll charge $1,000 each. That's 20 grand for a day. They teach people how to pour milk in a cup. Boom. You've got a coffee brand. You've got an online school. You're doing seminars. You were a nobody. You worked in Starbucks. You were a loser. You put in a little bit of effort. Now you drive a Ferrari. Done. It is that easy to get rich in the world today if you actually try. Some people are so lazy that they will work every day instead of get rich. And they think because they're working every day that they're not lazy. I'll argue you're exceptionally lazy because you're so lazy that instead of trying and thinking outside of the box, you now have to enslave yourself for eternity. Everything I just told you about that could work for an electrician. So you ask, how can people make money? Well, let's imagine every barista who watches this now tries my idea. The winner is going to be one, the person who makes the most beautiful coffee, the person who makes the most beautiful videos, the person who works the longest, who tries the hardest, who makes the most videos, who makes his $9 Secrets of Coffee book that he sells on Amazon the best book, who gives the most value in his masterclass, who gets the best coffee beans for his coffee brand. And then it comes down to hard work. People say work smart, not hard. Disagree. Work smart and hard, because lots of people are working smart. I work smart and hard, so there's no avoiding the hard work. This idea that you can work smart and not hard, I don't buy that. I believe you're going to have to work hard, but you have to work on the right thing and work smart first. If you don't work smart, you're not on the starting line. So working smart puts you on the starting line. Then you got to work hard to win the race. The one of you that works hardest is going to be the one that makes the money. And then perhaps if you make a bunch of money, you can join the war room and you can come and speak to one of us in person. When you believe in something, you give it power. So I tried to say that when I felt at my lowest and I achieved the most I've ever achieved in my life, the reason I was capable of doing that is because I didn't believe in the paradigm of being a depressed person. I just believed that this is how I currently feel. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get my life to be better. And I gave a very simple example, an analogy. I said, if you take two people, one believes in ghosts and one doesn't. You put them both in haunted houses. And in the middle of the night, there's a bang. The person who believes in ghosts is now terrified. There's a ghost, they're calling an exorcist, they're panicking in the room, they're hiding. The person who doesn't believe in ghosts goes wind and goes back to sleep. It's the same noise, it's the same scenario, but it's the belief in their mind that terrifies and ruins their life. It's the belief in their mind that turns against them. And I've said this many times. I don't even give a shit about right and wrong. You can tell me depression's, you can give me with every scientific proof in the world, depression, I refuse to believe in things that take my power away from me. I'm only going to construct a mental model that allows me to be as powerful as possible. If believing in the idea of depression is going to take my own power away, then I won't believe in it. I don't want to believe in things that make me weak. I believe in things that make me strong. And someone goes, well, you're wrong. Let's assume you're correct and that makes me wrong. Let's say that you're right and you're depressed. Why would I want to adopt the thinking of a man who is sad? Why would I want to think like you? I don't believe in things that take power from me. I never have. So when people email me and they start saying, I'm depressed. And what's funny is this, and they desperately defend the idea of depression. I'm like, my friend, you just told me you're too depressed to be successful and depression has destroyed your life and you lost your girl. I'm telling you that the enemy in your life isn't real. And you're now sending me 10 emails a week trying to convince me that your enemy is a real thing. Why are you sticking up for your enemy? This person, whatever it is, this idea destroyed you and you're putting your energy into defending it. I'm never going to believe you. I'm never going to adopt your thinking because your life is not successful enough for me to emulate. So why don't you try to adopt my way of thinking? Stop defending this. And they're defending it because it's a cure-all excuse. Depression or sadness is a cure-all excuse for men to use for failure. I have failed. This is why they say I don't believe in men's mental health, or the man who's depressed can't compete with the man who's not depressed. This quote. I say, listen, you get to roll out, be fat, be out of shape, be broke, be unimportant with no girlfriend. And instead of the world thinking you're a loser, you get to say, I'm not a loser, I'm depressed. It's a shield. And I say, that's why you don't want to lose your shield. Because now you have accountability, now you have performance. It's a cop-out. Fuck it off. I don't give a shit if it's real or not. We're not about that. We're talking about success here. Get rid of your excuses, stop defending the thing that's ruined your life, and get to fucking work. And every time anyone has ever listened to me in history, ever, every single one of them's transformed their lives and messaged me positive messages afterwards. Every single fucking time. That's why I'm anti-depressant. Because that pill ain't gonna fix you the way becoming the man you wish you were is gonna fix you. So I don't like negativity in my space. I create my reality extremely efficiently. We don't believe in negativity because if it's infectious and it's sticky. And even if someone's negative, even if you talk them out of it, it still stains the air, right? If you're in a trench and you're under fire, the least productive person is the person who goes, they've got too much artillery, we're gonna die. Shut up. We all know. Shut up. That's not helping us, right? It's very infectious. So, and most people understand, they say, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Then why the f are you spending time with negative people? Or people who complain? Or unhappy people? Or unlucky people? Or negative people? Stop talking to them. Everyone I talk to is like, yep, we are winners. All we do is f***ing win.
If you want something, you find time. So don't sit and lie to me and pretend that you want to network and you can't do it, and you want to make money and you don't have time. Because if you really wanted to, you'd be able to do everything. You get what you give in the world. If you want to feel loved, the best way to do that is to give love. If you want to feel respected, the best way to do that is to give respect. If you want to have good brothers, the best way to do that is to be a good brother yourself. And you're not a very good brother if you're broke. You're not a very good brother if you're not a very good brother if you're lazy, and you're not a very good brother if you're weak. So those are 4 things you can improve, because birds of a feather flock together, and I don't hang around with anybody who's those 4 things. If you can sleep just fine being broke, then guess what? You're always going to be broke. That's life. If you go to bed and you can't sleep because you're furious at the fact that I can buy a new supercar every day and you don't have a single one, then you might do something about it. So it's down to you and it's your own personal decisions. And I think we've discussed this in a lot of different emergency meetings, but there's no such thing as busy. There's no such thing as don't have time. That's all garbage. There's only 3 reasons people don't have money, and I've discussed them before. It's being stupid, it's being lazy, it's being arrogant. And to me, you sound like, well, you're not stupid because you're inside the real world and you're making money. You're not particularly arrogant because you're asking us how to do it. That's fine, but perhaps you're a little bit lazy. So you need to know what to do. You need to get it done.
Well, it's not an issue of juggling things. Everyone only has 24 hours in the day. So me, with my net worth, I have 24 hours in a day. Someone who's completely broke and, is wasting their life playing video games who has no money, he also has 24 hours in a day. So it's not about juggling. It's simply about choices, and it's about discipline. The truth is you have to do all of them. And especially when you're young, I'm getting a bit older now, but especially when you're young, my advice is sleep less. Oh, I don't have time to work out. How many hours a day do you sleep? 7? Make it 6. The energy boost from being in shape will compensate for the 1 hour lost sleep.
So we live in a very, very fast world now where things are happening extremely quickly, and people who are slow or are slow to adapt or slow to change always get left behind and get wrecked. Darwin said it in The Origin of Species, said that the most adaptable species survives. He didn't say it's the strongest or the fastest or the hardest to kill. He said it's the most adaptable, the one that can adapt quickest to a changing scenario or changing situation. And I think it's the same for humans as well. The ones who are going to be the most successful are usually the most adaptable and also the quickest. Think about the people who quickly adopted to, Bitcoin, for example, or quickly adapted to selling things online, or quickly adapted to starting their own YouTube channel. Being first, you'll do very well going first. So adaptation is extremely important. Speed's extremely important. And most people are living under constraints, and the largest constraints they have are obviously the order of society, which is constructed by governments, because governments need to know who's inside of their countries and who lives there and who travels. Of course they do. Why wouldn't they? And if you have one government that's constraining you, you lack adaptability. So that's adaptability. I have a choice. I have an option that other people don't have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you got to be able to be mobile, man. And if anything, the little cough situation that happened about 2 years ago, guys, showed that you really can be enslaved anytime. And you guys got to be able to, you got to create that freedom for yourself.
And I think one of the biggest problems with the world today is that men keep talking about how they feel. There's not a single man around me who says, I feel. Like, I live with guys and we have this big house and we're all having fun all the time. And I'm trying to think of a man around me who says, I feel. Because nobody cares. Why would I care how you feel? Why would life care how you feel? Society doesn't care how men feel. So if nobody cares how men feel, why do they care how they feel? You wake up and you have a list of things that need to be done. You're either going to do them or you're going to make excuses. And how you feel has no bearing on that list. The list must be completed irregardless of how you feel. So why are we even putting importance on those feelings? I think you learn to ignore feelings early on. You can learn to ignore pain and many other things. And I think that's the best way a man should be. I think that's how you become brutally competent and competitive. If you have values, whatever they are, then you're going to have to sustain those values. If you don't work for something, or you're not prepared to suffer or struggle for something, then you don't love it and you don't believe in it anyway. If you love a woman, you'll struggle to keep her. If you love a country, you'll struggle to defend it. If you love a sport
or business,
a business, you're going to work for it. If you're not working for it, then you don't love it anyway. So the values come with obligations, and those obligations are to fulfill your duty irregardless of how you feel. Bad things can happen. It's a terrible experience. You're going to suffer. I enjoy all of those things. If you ask the average man to think back on the times of his life that he really suffered or he hated, usually if they're a good man, retrospectively they're glad they happened. At the time you may hate them, but not very many men are going to sit and say, oh, I wish I didn't have to go through that. Maybe the loss of a loved one or something. But in general, I think they're the best things that ever happened to people. I'll give you an example. I had a guy message me and he said, Andrew, I don't know what to do. I'm 5'1". I'm really short. I'm training and I've got lots of money and I'm really short and I don't know what to do. I was like, bro, do exactly what you do if you were tall. Be confident and be your best self and train as hard as possible and be a good person and make money and be dedicated and be diligent. Why would anything change? You are who you are and you play the hand you have. Just like in poker, you can't help if you have pocket aces or something else. You play the hand and that's how you win the game. You can win a game with nothing. You can bluff your way through it. So when I say I don't have insecurities, it's not because I can't think of anything about myself that isn't perfect. It's just because I don't care. It doesn't matter. This is who I am. This is the life I'm going to live. I'm going to do my absolute best, irregardless of what I have. Heaven forbid something bad happens to me. I'm in a car crash and I'll lose my arm. Well, I'll still get up and just train and work and see my children, and I'll do exactly the same things I'm doing now. What can you do? So I think insecurities are a waste of time. I think it's waste of cognition to even sit and consider an insecurity. I am who I am. So I don't know. I can't think of any insecurities. I can't. War is certain for all of us. We're all fighting different battles. You can either suffer the intense pain it requires to become a somebody, or suffer the intense pain of being a forever nobody. The whole reason God put men on this planet is to suffer. And the best men are the ones who suffered the most. I wouldn't be top G if I didn't suffer more than anyone else. You're a better man than everyone else if your life was a mess and it was a hardship. Because you're not what happens to you, you are how you react to it. And the best men on earth are men who have had their parents die, their best friends betray them, their girl betray them, thrown in jail, their money stolen, stabbed, robbed. And every time something happened to them, they sat there and they looked in the mirror and said, what can I learn from this? How can I stop this happening? Those are the best men. Those are the men respect. Those are the men women want. Why do women love scars? Look, they tried to kill him and they can't. That's why I want him. The best men suffered. You find a man who's never been through suffering and nobody gives a shit about him. Men don't like him and women don't like him. Men are no good without it.
I don't know what's happened to men in the world today. They have none of this fire. Men used to wake up and walk in random directions with their friends. No Google Maps, no idea where they were going, just walk in random directions to find people who were different to them and just conquer it, just take it. Savages. You're supposed to have that inside of you, but enough brains to direct it in the correct direction, to not end up in jail. But to wake up and say, no, I'm supposed to live a fantastic life. I'm supposed to be a king. Do you understand that me, Andrew Tate, I'm treated like a king? Restaurants don't even charge me. Oh, Mr. Tate, thank you for coming for free. I don't make reservations. I turn up. I can take anyone's girl off the table. I'm a king. How do you live as anything less? You know I've done it. Doesn't that bother you? I say these things, and there's two kinds of people. People who get angry, and they're like, yeah, I need to live like that because I'm only going to live once. And then there's people who hard cope and just cope. Oh, yeah, well, you know what? You're an idiot because it's some anon account. The copers will never get anywhere. Any of you with a brain should just be angry. Like, my car costs more than your life, your house, everything. It's not even all about money. It's about the fact that, to me, the car is nothing. It's like, whatever, cheap, quick, whatever, who cares? I want one. To you, it's a dream that will never come true. I don't know where the savagery in men has gone. It needs to come back, and it needs to come back in the correct direction. Anger is an extremely powerful, motivating force. You should be angry. Too angry to sleep, too angry to be lazy. You don't struggle with motivation when you're angry. When you're furious, you're very motivated.
Anyone who knows me will tell you, if I'm awake, I'm working. I'm awake, I'm working. From the second I wake up, I'm on my laptop to the second I go to sleep. First thing I do when I wake up is check my phone. First thing I do is I work. And if I even do anything fun, I kill all the fun because I make it work. We can film it, get this, need this scene. Filming having fun is not having fun, ever. So I make it work. So I only enjoy work. I like to work because I like to feel proud of myself. I don't want to be happy, I want to feel proud of myself. So I rest when I sleep, sure. If I'm ultimately tired and need a few extra hours in bed every once in a while, yeah, okay, I'll do that. But I never just have a day. Tristan, back me up. Have I ever said I need a day where I just need a day off? Have you ever heard me say I need a day off? No. Ever. Like I work all the time. I think I've always understood that you can outwork people. You can truly outwork people, and you can outwork a lot of things about yourself as well. You can outwork a lot of negative emotions. You can outwork a lot of problems in your mind. Like people sit and say, oh, I'm unhappy or I'm sad. You don't have time. How do you find the time in the day to sit around thinking about being sad? Like, you have shit to do. Like I don't have time to sit around and contemplate how I feel because I'm busy. So how do you even have time for that? I've had people sit and give me long trotes on how they feel, and I'm like, where did you even come up with this shit? How long have you been sitting around just thinking about nothing? I don't have time for it. A plane defies gravity with speed. Momentum. That's all it does. If a plane stops moving forward, what happens? It falls down, right? So if you can do the same thing with yourself and your mentality and your problems and everyone else around you, you can outwork everybody. So I've always understood outworking people, and I also think that it's very easy to work hard and win when you're already winning. It's hard to get there. It starts off harder. It's harder to find a way to make money and work all the time and deal with all the bullshit and be at the bottom of whatever industry you're in and not have any reputation, whatever. But if I were to say to all of you right now, for every minute you body spar, you get $1,000. I guarantee we'd still be out there right now sparring. Everyone would be like, all right. So like, once you get to the point, like in my position, where I know if I put the time in, I'm going to win, then how can I stop now? Why do some men do what they do? Why did Elon decide to put rockets in space instead of just retire? He was rich after PayPal.
It's valid.
Why?
Yeah, that's fair.
Why did Alexander the Great need all that land? Why did men go to the Antarctic to try and cross the icy, barren, empty plains and freeze to death to just be the first men who did it? Why do that? You can't even put it on Facebook back then. Who gives a shit? Some men are built different, sir. Some men want to do it because it hasn't been done. And that is the reason why. They do not need much more motivation than the fact they will be first. There isn't much motivation to get on a rocket and be the first man on the moon, because the probability is you're going to die or get stuck up there and never make it back. Or even if you do go and you do come back, half the people on Earth won't believe you went at all. So why would you do that unless you're just that kind of guy? The fact that you will say to me, but it puts a target on your head, shows me that God will never, ever give you my position of influence, because along the way, you will have so many chances to be a which you will take, which will prevent you from ever getting to my echelon of capability and influence and power. Because if I gave a about having a target on my head at all, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. And I wouldn't have the ability to do the things I can do.
That's fair.
So I don't care. I'm doing it because it must be done. There's an opportunity for it to be done. And I can do it better than anybody else. Your mind and your body and your soul, created by God, have a degree of innate understanding of what's right and what's wrong. And if you go against that, you're going to feel guilt, and you're going to feel shame, and you're going to feel uneasy, and you're not going to feel normal. If you're going to go through life and accept all the garbage they tell you to put inside of your brain, I don't believe you can be happy that way. I don't believe you can be a happy individual walking around pretending that blue is green, pretending that green is red, like staying in your house, being fearful, being afraid, hating your fellow man, believing in these narratives that there's no way you can ever get ahead because you're systematically oppressed and held down by some whatever. And if you absorb all this crap, you're going to be an unhappy person. So I think that either your mind is right and you're happy and you're resisting against the matrix, or you're an unhappy person who's absorbed the matrix programming and you're resisting against yourself. We're all going to fight. You're either fighting the system or you're fighting your own brain. You need to make a choice. Now, I personally would rather fight the system than sit inside of a self-destructive cycle looking at myself in the mirror. Yes, I need my 8th injection. Yes, I'm so sad. Like, that sounds worse to me than being canceled. So you can cancel me. But this battle's here for everyone. And I think if the world understood that and if people understood that, a lot more of them would stand up. But they think they can avoid it, and they can't. Everyone's obsessed with the positive experiences. But nobody is chasing any kind of negative experience, which is why, I chose fighting, right? Yeah. But I believe every man should be choosing to do something which is extremely hard, which they hate, which sucks, because you don't appreciate life at all without it. The reason people are taking so many drugs, for example, the reason people chase higher highs all the time, and the reason they're constantly taking drugs and trying to and drink more alcohol and chasing higher highs all the time is because they don't experience any lows. Mm-hmm. So you always want a higher high. But I promise you, the high you're at is fine if you balance it with a little bit of low. If you bounce down there for a week and come back to where you were, you're good. Constantly chasing higher highs is hedonism, which ends in one place. It always ends in a downward spiral, right? And butt sex, like the whole city of LA.
You're obsessed with butt sex.
Well, hey, bro, it's your city. So you need to stay away from constantly chasing those things. You need to artificially manufacture some lows. I chose fighting because fighting will do that for you. It's hard, it's stressful. You're worried. You train all the time. You're exhausted. You win. You lose. You get hurt. You go hospital. There's a lot of negatives in it. But there's not enough negatives in men's lives today. But you're asking me about jail as if it's a good or bad thing, or if I'm worried about going back. But to me, all experiences are on an even level playing field. Whether it's a good experience or a bad experience, it doesn't matter. There's experiences. And then there's comfort. And it doesn't matter if you're a good experience or a bad experience, as long as you're on the experiences side, I'm happy for you. My father died, which was a negative experience, but you learn a lot from it. It was an experience. It was a period of life where I was learning and growing, as was jail, as was sitting in the Bugatti meeting, as was buying a jet, as will be conquering the crypto space, as will be getting fucking stabbed when he finally gets hold of me and I can't block it with my hand. That's life. Every time something bad happens to you, you are your most competitive if you are motivated by it, right? So getting hit and hitting back, that's the essence of life. It's the essence of business, it's the essence of everything. So absolutely. So sparring is a fantastic way to put it out, but also in every single thing that happens in your life, whenever anything bad happens to you, you can be motivated by it. Tristan said in jail, he quoted the Count of Monte Cristo. Was it 13 years in the Chateau d'If? Then the world is mine. So he's saying, we got hit, we got thrown in jail. And the story of the Count of Monte Cristo is a really long story, but he gets thrown in jail unfairly. He comes out of jail, becomes one of the wealthiest and most powerful men in the world, and then gets loads of revenge on all the people who put him in jail. And Tristan kept saying, 13 years in the Chateau d'If, because he spent 13 years in jail, and then the world is mine. So even when we got hit with a Matrix attack, it excited us. We're like, they put us in jail, but now that everyone talks about us. Okay, we'll get out one day. 10 years, 5 years, one day we'll get out. How do we take that attention? How do we monetize it? How do we become bigger and better? The people who have attacked me are furious. They made me more famous than ever before. So when we even were in jail, when bad things were happening to us, we were literally sitting there planning. Cool, what's gonna happen when we're out? Fine, we're gonna have a bunch of interviews. I need to be on point, I need to be sharper. Give me a dictionary, I need to learn new words. What's gonna happen if I'm gonna bring this unfortunate clip up? What am I gonna say? What's gonna happen if they try to attack me from this angle? You have to plan and you have to fight, you have to be excited by it. So getting hit by things, you can either go, I got beat up, it's so hard, I'm in jail, I miss my family, or you can go, okay. Give me all the time I need to prepare for my counterattack, my revenge. I'm just getting started. I think that a lot of people don't understand that it's all of the challenges and struggles that's going to make them, it's either going to make or break them. I don't read studies very often, but I was sent a study about stress from somebody. It's probably the best study I ever read, and it's talked about the placebo effect of stress. And it said that they took some of the most stressed people in the world, CEOs, etc., and the ones who believed that stress was really bad for them were dying earlier because of the cortisol inside of their blood. And they said stress is really bad for them, they were having heart attacks. But the ones who believed that stress was good for them and it made them perform, I perform under pressure, stress is good for me, they were living longer. So the same drug inside of their blood, how they framed it inside of their mind had different effects on their body. So from that point onwards, even though I already thought this way, I knew I was the right way. I knew it was the right way to think innately because I've done pretty good in life that way. But this confirmed it. Every time I feel stressed or under pressure, I get excited. I hate to not be stressed. I wake up and I'm like, everything's good. Yes. Like that's just how I am, right? But it's how you adopt, it's how you look at the problems and how you use them to fuel you. So the question was, what's the problem for the average man today? What's the biggest problem? I think there's a whole host of problems. But what you have to do is frame it inside of your mind and understand that all of those problems are going to allow you, give you the fuel and the unlimited motivation that you need to become a successful and beautiful individual if you frame it in the right way. If you take a man and give him a life shielded from problems and he never has any to face, I guarantee you he's terrible at being a man. The best men in the world have gone through shit. That's why women love scars, because it didn't kill you. That's the whole point of it, right? So the best thing you can do as a man is look and go, okay, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard. I feel negative because these are all so difficult. I'm struggling with X, Y, Z. Let me internalize all of that and turn it into a superpower. Let me become genuinely uncomfortable with my situation in life and go and fix things. Because, like I said, the universe is absolutely and utterly very giving. And if you truly hated being in the position you were in, you wouldn't be there very long. So I think that the number one problem with the world today and the biggest problem that men face isn't the problems themselves. It's just the way that they are been taught to mentally frame issues. People think when bad things happen to them that somehow they're a victim to the universe and bad things only happen to me and this is so terrible. They don't understand that bad things happen to everybody, and the most successful person you know had all those, probably maybe even worse, at least the same bad things happened to them. They just framed it differently and used it. That's the difference. So
I'm happy for all of it. Jail, Matrix attacks, everything. But I just look around me at all these other men. They have no savagery about them. There's no conqueror spirit. Nothing. Genghis Khan had the whole world and still wanted more. As did the Romans, as did the British. Like the days of old, nothing was enough. The world was not enough. All of it. Everything. That's how I function. I see people like, oh yeah, you know, I've got a BMW. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. I could buy 100 new cars today and I still would be like, nah, not enough. Should have bought 101. You can be very happy and also extremely discontent. I know my life is perfect objectively. I'm realistic to know that I've got one of the best experiences on the planet. I understand that. But I'm also waking up every day on fire. to get more, which is how I got here in the first place. Lacking motivation is just lacking the basic masculine essence for conquest, which means you were born to be conquered, because you're either conquering or you're conquered. There's no in-betweens in this reality. You're either going to end up a peon in someone else's empire, or you're going to forge your own. Or you can unite with a band of brothers and be a knight or a nobleman within a brotherhood, which is genuinely conquering Earth. Like Tristan, he'll say, oh, Andrew's the top G, fine. But I am the number 2 in command of a huge, vastly wealthy empire. I just don't understand. And I'm saying this randomly as I'm driving. I just look into the cars of people around me, and they're just so cucked. I don't understand how they're living these existences. And even worse, if you're that cucked, if you're that happy with the baseline medium, if you're that happy with the norm, you can't compete against the outliers. Outliers are always going to wake up and say, I'd rather lose everything than not have everything. I can't live this mediocre existence. I'd rather lose everything I have in pursuit. Get rich or die trying. How can you outcompete that man? His mind is there. He's ready for all eventualities, for exceptionalism, an exceptional reality. If you ever find yourself struggling with motivation, you need to understand that you're broken as a man. Men don't struggle with motivation. That's one thing men don't struggle with. Because a man is never happy. He's never content. He's constantly looking to conquer and take over and get more and more and more.
Why did Christopher Columbus get on a boat? I don't know. You tell me.
Valid.
Maybe he should have just sat at home with his money, getting jobs, having sex, and no, have kids. Don't take any risks. Don't put a target on your head. Why do that? You could just have sex and stay home. You could have sat around having a degenerate hedonistic life and nobody would fucking remember his name. Or perhaps he thought, fuck it, I'm going to risk my life and do something different. The target on my head doesn't cross my mind. I don't care. If you're going to work, work. If you're going to chill, then chill. You don't want to be a dim light that's half on. You want to do one or the other. Now, I find chilling and relaxing, I guess this is my personality, it makes it easy, extremely stressful. There's nothing more stressful for me than trying to not do my work. Because if I'm not doing my work, then I'm thinking about the work I'm supposed to do, and I'm more stressed than doing the work. So everyone goes, hey, Andrew, you need to just chill. I'm like, that sounds terrible. That sounds like the most stressful situation to be in. So all I want to do is work, right? But if you're going to do something, you should be doing your absolute best at it. What's the point in doing anything if you're not going to do your best at it? Right? And it's amazing how things can translate, right? If you do your best in one thing, it's not only the fact that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, but if you do your best in one thing, it can radiate out across your entire life. That's the greatest thing about being a man. As a man, when you upgrade your life and you become a better man, by extension, you automatically improve the lives of all of your friends, of your woman, of your children, of your community, of your country. We radiate. It's amazing. You can put a little bit more effort in bed with your girlfriend, make her a little bit happier. She'll then cook your breakfast, gives you a little bit extra time to work. Before you know it, you got a Bugatti. Boom. That's how I got mine. But putting in that extra effort pays off, dividends. And you can look at it spiritually. You can be philosophical about it and say that God rewards people who try hard. That's how I like to see it. God is literally looking at all of us, no matter which God you believe in, and he's saying, all these people I've created, who's thankful, right? Because any one of us could have lost our eyesight to bacteria at age 2. Any one of us. And we didn't. So he's saying, who's thankful enough for what they have that they're trying their absolute best with it all of the time? Because if you do that, he's like, I like this guy. I like him. He's cool. Give him blessings. Give him something. It's amazing what comes your way. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm extremely difficult on myself. And I will say right now, the only thing I've really tried my best at is to stay out of jail. And that's not because I'm afraid of jail. That's because I know my haters are going to seethe when I walk. That's my motivation. If someone were to say to me, Andrew, if you make an extra $1 or if you throw an extra punch, endless blessings will come your way, it would be disingenuous for me to sit and say I couldn't do that. For me, what I decide what's true and what isn't is the things that allow me to become most competitive. Depression is not real because that allows me to become more competitive. I don't give a shit what paperwork you pull out your ass and which depressed person or psychologist comes in here and tries to explain to me how depression works. I'm more competitive if I don't believe in it. Because then when bad things happen to me, it doesn't cross my mind that I might catch depression. It is not even an idea in my Me and Tristan are in jail. Everyone's depressed. We're smoking cigarettes and dancing around. We can't be depressed because we don't believe in it. So I'll only adopt ideas that make me hyper competitive. And sometimes that's going to make you very humble. Sometimes it's very competitive to think, shit, I might lose here. Sometimes competitive to be delusional and think you can't lose. If you corner me and there's no way out but to fight and 10 men are going to try and kill me, I'm going to believe I can win. Delusional maybe, but it makes me most competitive. That's what I believe. I've decided. My brain works that way. Which mindset is the most competitive? Which mindset is the most useful to me right now? Which emotion is the most useful to me? I change emotions. We can all change our emotions if we really want to. You could all think yourself sad. You could all think yourself happy. Everyone can do it, but people take too long to do it.